Hey there, hi, welcome to the channel. I am Garrett, and in this video, we are talking about kitchen design trends and 2025, what is in, what's out, what's hot, what's not. And the first thing we have to talk about is something that's in. That's the extra thick countertop edge. What does that mean? You know, what is the extra thick edge? When you have countertops installed in your kitchen, they always add an extra lip to the edge so that this stone looks more substantial. It looks thicker, more beautiful, and it has a lip that covers the substrate underneath that holds it in place, that provides support for it. That's the real reason we added on there, so you can't see the messy parts. But what designers are doing now is they're making that lip extra thick. So usually it's like double the size of the countertop, and that's good. You know, it's clean. It's like about 1.5 inches, 1.75 inches. Well, we're seeing designers do 3 inches. And the reason this is so good and it's really popular right now is because when you put beautiful countertops in, you're spending good money on them. We want to see it. We want to see more of it. We want something that's more substantial and chunky, robust. And that definitely gets you that look. Also, countertops are a horizontal surface, right? They're flat. You know, you see them when you're looking down at it. But when I'm on the other side of the room, I don't so much see that unless you've taken it up the backsplash. But that thick countertop edge, oh, I can clock it from a mile away. I see it, it's gorgeous, it's beautiful. So if you're doing really great stone in your home, this is definitely something to consider. And what I'm also seeing is that this is a square edge. And right now what's happening in kitchen design is we're leaning towards more traditional details, like, you know, the details of the door style and profiles you're choosing tend to be a little bit more traditional. We're getting away from shaker, we're going for thin rail, we're going for something that has a little bit of extra trim on it. And so this is a nice way to modernize a kitchen that has traditional detail without making it contemporary, without making it mid-century. It's just an extra little modern touch on a space that doesn't necessarily read as being the complete opposite of some other style. So it's something nice that you can use in a space no matter what the style is. Now the big thing is, what is this replacing? Okay, because it's not really replacing the thin countertop edge. It's really replacing the waterfall edge. Some of you are gonna say, what is a waterfall edge? It basically takes that flat surface that's your countertop and down the side of a cabinet. It flows like a waterfall down the side and covers an exposed side of cabinetry. And it's nice in certain areas, scenarios, and instances, but we've seen it a lot. And the problem with that is stone is very expensive. It's not cheap, it's not easy to do, and you basically are buying an extra slab to do this when you don't really have to. So that's something to think about there. I personally recommend waterfall edge countertops to my clients all of the time. If I think it's going to work for you, whether or not it is the most popular trend, I'm still gonna suggest that. If you're looking to clean something up, or if we have a kitchen that's really busy and I'm like, eliminate that detail there, you know, let's take it clean, let's make that stone go all the way down. It's something I will suggest if I think the style is appropriate for the space. But we are kind of pulling back on it a little bit just because there are some other details we're preferring. Like I said, kitchens are leaning more traditional in design right now. So instead of having a waterfall edge on an island, for example, I'm probably gonna say, let's wrap it in some sort of material or a paneling, trim detail that comes right up to the edge of the countertop. So it's really nice and clean and those lines are sleek and it looks nice, but we can add trim and molding onto it. We can paint it a color so it has a little bit more of that classic reference, but still feels modern. And I'm not gonna ever tell you just to rip something out because it's not the #1 most trending thing right now. I don't think that's sustainable and it doesn't really make sense either. And there's a lot of design detail you can consider when you're doing your kitchen. If you need help, which when you're doing a kitchen, you want those details to be correct, I absolutely recommend you talk to a designer. Like me, I can help you no matter what space you're working on, whether you're renovating a kitchen, updating a bathroom, or just looking to buy the perfect rug for your living room. I am at your service. You can always book a one-on-one design consultation with me using the link in the description box down below or going to intro.co/GarrettLeChic. Another trend for kitchens, I hesitate to even call it a trend because it's really a return to something timeless, is actually all about hardware and the hardware color and detail we're going for. Right now, we are favoring things that are a little bit more subtle and refined and have less contrast. So something like bronze and unlacquered brass or an aged brass finish are really popular right now. And I'm seeing a lot of people mix them in their kitchens and in their homes because it has warmth to it. And that's the big thing. We want warmth in a kitchen. We're done with these cool tone spaces, and so we're looking for hardware metals and tones that have warmth to them. For example, chrome is very cool toned, as where brushed nickel is warmer. So right now, a lot of people are going for brushed nickel instead of chrome. But the big trend in what's happening in kitchen design right now is bronze and unlacquered brass or aged brass. And I think that's all really amazing. And it's really great because they have a certain authenticity to them. There's a variation in tone there that adds a little bit of detail, but it's not flashy. And I think that's something important to remember, because hardware really is the jewelry of the kitchen. And sometimes we want a little bit of that flash, but right now what's happening with colors and tones in kitchen is all about warmth and refinement and layered details in a space. So having flashy hardware on these cabinets and in these spaces that are really warm toned, it doesn't always make sense. So right now I'm seeing, like I said, bronze and an unlacquered or aged brass finish. I say unlacquered or aged brass because unlacquered brass is just brass. It's just brass that is unlacquered, and it will age, it will patina. I don't personally care for it because as it patinas, it can stain whatever it is on. So if you get an unlacquered brass faucet, it might stain the countertop underneath. And I just don't like that. So that's not what I would do. I would go for aged brass, which is an actual finish that is just applied to the brass, or it's made to be aged quickly and then lacquered over that so it doesn't continue aging. And that's something to think about. If you really like brass, go for polished brass or lacquered brass. That way it's always shiny and nice and you don't have to polish it. What is all of this replacing though? All of this was replacing the matte black hardware and the gold toned hardware. The reason it's replacing them, one, matte black is just, it was just a little overdone, a little saturated. You see like black and white kitchens and it's very high contrast. Right now we're going for something a little more refined and subtle, and that's okay. I still like matte black hardware, and you can mix matte black hardware with even like bronze, and I think that's kind of an interesting mix. It's unexpected and I like that, but it's also replacing gold because gold is difficult. It's not an actual finish. It's not gold plated here, okay? It's just gold colored. And so every brand and company has a different color of gold, and they don't all match perfectly. It makes it so much harder and more difficult to select hardware that works cohesively throughout your home and your space, which is why if you look at any major designer's work, their social media profiles or their feature magazines, you don't see faux finished hardware because it's just impossible to get it to match, and it doesn't read the same in real life as it does in photos. So most of them are just leaning towards brass because it's a real good, honest material. It's authentic and good quality. So it's something to think about when you are designing your space. If you're not going for one cohesive brand for everything, which most of the places that make faucets don't make handle pulls and hardware and knobs and stuff, so you probably won't. Make sure that the finish across the board on all of these different details, if it's a faux finish, is consistent. That way it doesn't stand out or glare to us when we look at it that it's mismatched. It doesn't match and it doesn't look right. That'll pull the eye towards it, and that's not the detail you want everyone to focus on. I'm just gonna be honest with you, this next one is the #1 kitchen trend, and in my opinion, it will be the #1 kitchen trend for the next 3 years at least, okay? That trend is quartzite. Quartzite is a natural stone material for countertops, and it's different than marble or granite or quartz itself. It's a natural material. It is pulled from the ground the same way marble or granite is. So that's something to think about. It also is a little bit more high-end and expensive, but people really like quartzite because of the refinement in the movement on the stone. It doesn't have really dramatic veining, or at least the Taj Mahal quartzite that is extremely popular right now doesn't. It has a certain opacity to it where it has depth and dimension. You can see into the stone a little bit. It's very interesting, and it has a really strong sense of refinement to it. It is very beige. Okay, it is very beige. If you like beige, this is for you. You already know about it. I don't have to tell you. But for everybody else, we're just talking about quartzite. It's a beautiful material. It will be the most popular thing for the next 3 to 5 years even, because it's an interesting new material and people are liking it. It's available in all of the finishes, whether that's polished, honed, leatherized, finished. I've actually seen quartzite done in a polished, leatherized finish, which was very interesting. Quartzite is something people are really liking because it's not as delicate as marble, but it doesn't have the busyness of granite. So it's not as strong as granite. It has certain stain resistant properties that granite doesn't have. And it's really interesting. I always recommend you seal a stone countertop, have it professionally done. That way you can kind of guarantee yourself you're not gonna get any massive stains or scratches or anything like that, but it is a good material, something worth considering. It's an honest material once again, so there is variation in it. I always say to every one of my clients that's working on a kitchen, go to the stone yards, go for a walk around, and you will see the most beautiful things, the most interesting stones and everything, because quartzite comes in a lot of different varieties, and it's very pretty. Now, what is quartzite replacing is what has got me excited. It's replacing Calcutta Viola. And I never liked Calcutta Viola. I told you this from the beginning. I told you when it first started coming out that I just wasn't in love with it. It's nice, but it's not my favorite thing because Calcutta Viola is as you think it is. It is Calcutta marble, which is delicate, okay? And it's, you know, Calcutta has a very busy veining in it, but the Viola is violet. And it's not even really violet, okay? It's maroon if you ask me, but that's beside the point. It's very specific, and you have to have a certain type of style, and you really have to think meticulously about what you're using with this to make it work and look good. And I think there are instances where it does, but this has been oversaturating the social media design space for a while now. I don't like it. It's just not for me. It looks, I don't want to go into all of that because I don't want to offend the people that have it. I love it for you if you do. For me personally, my favorite stone that I could recommend or suggest to anybody is Calcutta Monet. Calcutta Monet has the colors of a Monet painting. It's very soft, there's lots of movement, there's warmth to it. It's pretty, and it could be applied to most kitchens or spaces in a home. I think that's really great, but something really, really specific like Calcutta Viola, in my opinion, will be dated very quickly. And you will get tired of it very quickly. So I don't think it's worth it. At least the Taj Mahal quartzite is neutral enough that it's a little boring, yeah, but I'm not gonna get tired of it, and I can accentuate that with other details in the space, like the hardware, like the cabinetry color, like the details that are applied to that application. I think that's interesting. But when you choose a very, very specific type of stone, sometimes it gets a little dated quickly, or you get tired of it, and then you spent all of this money on something you don't like anymore, which is why I always say it's worth talking to a designer when it comes to these instances. When you're doing a kitchen, you know, a little bit of time from a designer could save you thousands of dollars in the long run, so it's definitely worth it. That link is in the description box down below. Guess whose interest was just piqued by that? Oh, apparently not yours. Okay, well, this is who you've been seeing jump in and out of the screen. If you don't know, this is Arden. Arden is a Cavalier, and he's the most beautiful little dog ever, aren't you? Oh, you're so cute, Arden. People tell me not to kiss my dogs, but you know what? Never, ever will I not kiss my puppies. Okay, well, anyway, subscribe, join us, become a part of our GarrettLeChic family. We would love to have you here. We post 2 videos every week all about interior design, what's happening, what's on trend, what's timeless and classic. So we would love to have you here. Please join us by hitting that subscribe button. And if you've made it this far in the video, please go ahead and give it a like. Okay, let's get back to the video, Arden. You're such a stinker. You're such a stinker. I know. Every time we talk about kitchen trends, we always have to talk about what's new with cabinetry this year. What's happening, what's the latest thing, what's on trend for cabinetry, colors, tones, materials. This year it's gonna be all about wood. Last year it was also wood, it was white oak. This year it's gonna be walnut. I like that better. I'm tired of white oak. I do like it, and I think it's great, but I think it's been overdone, and it's like, I can't stand to see white oak everything. It's very beige to me. I'm not an all beige everything type of person. I love beige, I love an all white space even. But when everything is the same tone, it's just a little generic, and it's easy to consume and take in and digest, but then it starts to be like there's nothing else going on. So I like a little bit of color, I like some contrast infused. Walnut is a darker toned wood, which we all know. Walnut can lean a couple of different ways depending on the actual finish or the stain color. It can be a little red, which works with cherry floors or mahogany pieces of furniture. It can lean more brown, which is I think what we're going to see because it's a little more neutral and you can play with that. that easily. Like I've been saying, we're leaning into traditional design details, and we're also leaning towards warmer spaces and tones. So this is something that's really great. It's warm, it's got some depth to it, and it's really beautiful. I love a walnut stained anything. So what are the design details though? It's all about the door profiles and styles. I personally like an inset door style where the doors are inset to the frame of the cabinetry, but that does lean heavily traditional. And if you like that, go for it. But a lot of people also think you will nick and, bump into the frames of the cabinetry, and then, you see that wear there. For me, that's a part of the beauty of the material, but for other people, they don't want that. So they go for full overlay. There are some details you can add to there, like the light rail molding at the bottom of the cabinetry that creates the illusion of it being inset without it actually being. And that's something to think about. I love the walnut cabinetry that's happening right now, and I think it's very pretty. I think it's timeless and classic. It's an honest material. It's authentic, and that is really beautiful. And what that's replacing really is the painted kitchen. I don't think there's anything wrong with the painted kitchen. I love it, especially if you want something that's really light and bright or a very specific color. Painting a kitchen is great. Actually, a big trend for painting kitchens is taking a painted kitchen and painting it brown so that it looks like wood, but that's not the topic of today's video. We're replacing the painted kitchen in a certain way. I do also like a two-toned kitchen. I think that's great too. You could do a wood island and then painted cabinetry on the perimeter. That's beautiful. I really like that. What we're not doing anymore is a two-tone kitchen where the uppers and lowers are different colors. We're being consistent on the perimeter and then an accent island. I think that's really great. Walnut is the thing though. That's the wood tone we're looking for. Profiles for doors, let's talk about that. The thin rail really is what it is very popular right now. It has a little bit of a traditional undertone, a little bit of a European undertone to it, as where the shaker is a little bit more classically American in its styling. So I think that's really good. Shaker is nice. I just like to see a little bit of a detail there instead of it just being like squares and blocks and 90-degree angles. Give us a little something, give us some softness to it. And if you go for a walnut kitchen, that also really looks beautiful with a lot of these warmer toned metals. And I don't think you could really go wrong with like a brushed nickel or a brass, an aged brass or a bronze. Even a matte black could look good with walnut cabinetry. It would be kind of unexpected and a little bit of a modern twist, but it's something worth considering. I'm so excited about what's happening with kitchens in 2025 because some of these design details have got me so excited. They are gonna look gorgeous, and you are gonna be seeing so much more of them all across social media. So be on the lookout for them and know where you heard it first. While we're talking about what's trending for 2025, let's talk about what's not. Be sure you check out this video right over here, all about overdone, overused, and overplayed design trends that we need to let go of, and I will see you over there.